Okay, can everybody see?
Hi. Hi, guys. Well, my name is Cindy, and I work with Will, who you guys saw earlier this week, and we are excited to do a beef farm chat with you. So we are using Zoom to give you a virtual field trip of a beef farm that's here fairly close to you guys. I'm holding a microphone. You see this thing I'm holding? And I'm going to pass it to our farmer in just a second. And you guys are going to get to ask questions live. But the way we'll do it is we'll pause for some question breaks, and then I'll ask for questions. Then if you have a question, raise your hand, and your teacher will call on you, and you can come up to the computer and ask the question so I can hear it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. We're at a farm here in Humboldt County. We're less than 10 minutes from your school. In fact, I can see Gilmore City back behind the cattle in the distance. So we're not very far from your farm. I'm here at the farm of Nick Bowden, and I'm going to turn the camera so you can see around and kind of where we're at. Okay, so there's the farm. I'm just going to kind of show you his farm. And this is Nick. Wait, Nick. And I'll show you, they raise pigs too. The pig barns are here. We're going to talk about beef cattle today, though. Maybe another time we can talk about pigs. And then back behind the cattle would be Gilmore City, if you could see that far into the distance. So this is all that you're going to see and hear from me. I'll ask a few questions for Nick, but our farmer Nick is going to do most of the talking today. So I'm going to pass the microphone on to him, and I'd like him to tell you a little bit about his farm.
Hi, kids. I was just in your school a couple weeks ago with Kelsey to help you guys with some of your projects with butterflies in your gardening. So I spend time with Farm Bureau, and then this is where I spend most of my time farming. This farm is where I grew up when I was your age. My dad still lives here. We raise cattle, we raise hogs, corn, soybeans, and also sell seed on the side. So here we raise basically Black Angus cattle. We buy them as small calves and raise them up to market weight, and then we sell them most likely to a packer somewhere here in the Midwest, Iowa Premium Beef in Tama, which is also tied into a food system that may deliver school to restaurants in the state of Iowa, as well as probably the school that you eat lunch at. So we raise most of our own feed, a lot from the corn, some from the soybeans. That comes in the form of protein.
Talk a little bit about the feed a little bit. So first, Nick, can you tell us a little bit about how you learned to be a farmer and why you chose to be a farmer?
Like I said, this is the farm I grew up on. It's something I've always cared deeply about. I've loved being around animals. I love running equipment, raising crops, going through that life cycle every year. From a very young age, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So after high school, my mind was made up very quickly. I went to Iowa State. I majored in agronomy. After that, I got another degree in the same department and worked very briefly for a different company. And about 6 years ago, I decided I needed to move home and farm because that's what I wanted to do. And raising cattle was one of those.
Great. Okay, do you guys have any general questions about Nick or about the farm in general? I see some hands up.
Layla's going to come up and ask the first question.
Did you have all those cows when you were born at the farm?
No, we get new cows every year. A lot of them that are behind us, especially the ones on the mound, kind of up in the air in the wind, that have green ear tags in. They came in as very, very small calves, probably last September and October. They came from Montana. That's where their moms and dads still live, and they came here for us to raise them. So we get new cows about once a year.
Did your family raise cattle growing up?
And as we were growing up, we've always had some level of hogs and cattle. Not too many mama cows, mostly just buy feeder cattle like the ones behind us to feed.
Okay, we can take another question or two.
How many cows do you have?
Behind us, there is a pen of 120 and another pen behind them of 180. In total, we have close to 500 that we are responsible for taking care of.
So I have another question for you. Do you feed the cows by hand, or do you pull a big wagon behind the tractor and feed them like that?
I should have had the tractor and wagon out here that we feed them with, because you are very right. We use a tractor and a wagon. And what I'm sitting on is a concrete fence line bunk, and we dump the feed into it. And as you can see from the iPad, this is the feed that it's called a total mixed ration, TMR, and we mix up different feedstuffs. The main components are protein, which comes from soybeans, corn that we grow in our fields, silage that comes from the entire corn plant. It's called a wet distiller grain that comes from the ethanol plant, and then we also grind up a little bit of hay and corn stalks. So there's many ingredients in this, and it all gets mixed together to help the cattle eat.
Since he was just talking about feed, I'm going to ask him a few more questions about feed, and then we'll break for some other questions from you. So Nick, can you tell us how you decide what the cattle eat, and do they always eat the same thing from the time they come until the time you're ready to sell them?
When our calves come, when they're much smaller, their diet is based mostly with roughages, a lot of hay, a lot of silage. Cattle have a ruminant stomach. It has 4 chambers, so they have to digest things like grass and silage and things like that in phases to convert it to sugars. So when they're small, they start out with a lot of hay, a lot of silage, and just a little bit of corn. As they get bigger, their diet does change, and the ration I just showed you is very heavy in corn and very heavy in the corn byproducts. So that changes from the time they get here until the time they leave.
Can you explain the byproducts and what byproducts again, and where you go?
The 2 main byproducts that we do feed that we don't raise ourselves, the one is the wet distiller's grain. It comes from the ethanol plant down by Fort Dodge. Farmers, including ourselves, we haul grain that we raise ourselves down to the ethanol plant. They go through their fermentation process, and then this byproduct is after they take the ethanol that put in your mom and dad's cars, this byproduct is left over. They haul it back to our farm, and we put it in our cattle feed. The other product is a protein. It's a dry protein. It comes from soybean meal, and we deliver soybeans to a different plant. They extract oil and the meal from the soybean seed, and that gives them another part of their diet to make it more balanced.
How often do you feed them with the tractor and the wagon that you're talking about?
Depending on which group of cattle we have, generally they get fed twice a day. Some of them get fed once a day, but that's pretty common for most cattle feeders, is either once or twice a day, every day.
What other questions do you have about the feed and how we feed them?
Questions about feed and how you feed them. Caleb, come up here. Okay. Something about questions about feed and how you feed them. Braxton, come on up. What's your question?
Do you change your food and when there's different breeds of cows?
In general, no, we do not. When we have cattle here, we feed them and raise them primarily just to eat. If you had a dairy calf, they would get a much different diet than what we feed. But no, in general, whether they're black or red or white, we feed them the same way.
So it doesn't matter what breed it is, it just, you feed the same?
Yes, it's more so the intended use of the cow or the calf and what their purpose is on the farm, where they fit into the...
So like a beef cow, that's what, and then you feed them that?
Yes, this is a common This is what they would normally eat for a beef cow, for a beef calf.
How heavy would you prefer the feed? Yeah, the calf.
How big are the calves?
Yeah.
The ones behind us probably weigh around 1,000 or 1,100 pounds. They are steers. They will be on our farm for probably another 2 to 3 months. Try to weight somewhere around 1,400 pounds or so, which is pretty common for a beef feedlot calf. As you look in the camera now, there were a couple up here eating at the bunks, and one just staring at us now, wondering who these people are.
Have you always fed the cows the same way since you got them?
Since we've had these calves, yes, they have been fed the same way. One difference, when I was smaller, we used to feed them by hand with buckets, and then we'd use small bales of hay that we'd carry out and put in their bunks. But as we started feeding more cattle, we moved to a tractor and wagon.
Nick, I have a question for you. What do you do to maintain the lots? It looks pretty wet here because of all the rain that you've had. What do you do to maintain the area that they live in?
Well, a couple different things that we do. Unfortunately, the last 3 days we've had somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 inches of rain or so. Obviously, that water has to go somewhere, and it's out there with the cattle that they're putting up with right now. Year-long maintenance, something we do. If you look at how the cattle are sitting kind of up in the air in the wind, we call that a cattle mound. It's made of dirt and clay. We shape that they can get out of the mud and find someplace comfortable to lay, because happy cattle eat a lot better than unhappy cattle. And then also we have some concrete out here, and we try to scrape that up as often as possible, and we haul that out into our field and use that as a fertilizer to raise our corn and our soybeans.
What other questions do you have?
How much food do you feed them a day?
As far as total pounds, each animal would get 30 pounds of feed. Each calf, if you measured it out just for one of them, it would be around 30 pounds total.
Nick, what time did you feed this morning? I still noticed quite a bit of feed in the bunk. Do they tend to eat more right after? Is there always feed here for them to eat?
Well, with the rain and the fluctuating temperatures, it's hard to find a nice balance this time of the year for getting the calves to clean the bunks up every night. But in general, they get fed between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and about 5 or 6 o'clock at night, a lot of them will come up and start eating again and eat through the night. And by the next morning, there won't be any feed left in the bunks. It will be completely licked clean.
Right. We have a time for just
Do
about 2
you
or
have
3
any horses?
No, we do not have any horses on our farm, much to the dismay of.
Why don't you have horses, Nick? And why would there have been horses on farms long ago?
We do not have horses because we don't have a lot of grass for them. They like to be out on pasture like cows do. Most of our farm ground is for corn and soybeans, not so much for grass. But if you go back a long time, when especially, and they still use them out in Montana where these calves would have come from, they use horses to move the cows and the calves around and sort them and take care of them and keep them in their pens. So horses still play a very important role in the cattle industry. We just do not use them ourselves.
All right. Another question?
Do you just have cows on your farm?
We have cows and pigs, and we farm corn and soybeans as well. So we do quite a bit, quite a few different things.
The barn I'm in now is where there's pigs. They raise pigs in that barn. And maybe another day, Nick and Miss Kelsey can connect to show you the pigs.
Yes, another day we can look at pigs.
That would be awesome.
Do you have any calves? Baby calves?
Yes, we do have baby calves here. They're a little ways away from us, so it's hard to show you them.
Thank you.
When we do a few more questions, we can have somebody else do a question as we walk. We're going to walk and show you the baby calves. Would you guys like to see that? Okay. Do you have another question that we can answer on the way?
Yeah. How many pigs do you have?
What?
How many pigs do you have?
Nick, how many pigs do you raise? About 1,000 pigs. And they're nursery pigs. So they come after they've been weaned from the mom, and then stay here not until they're ready to market to be made into bacon, but just for a few months until they're old enough to go to a different farm. Nick just opened a gate for us.
Why do you mix the dirt with clay?
Why do you mix the dirt with clay?
Well, for us, we get clay from our fields or from the local quarry, and instead of dirt, it holds up better when it does rain. It's more of a firmer base instead of just dirt, because it gets very muddy very quickly.
So like the clay just keeps like the mud from not getting it so muddy. It's just making it like a hard.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Well, those are mama cows. Maybe.
How much male and female cows do you have?
We only have 30 girl cows.
Looks like the hiding in. Okay, Nick's gonna go get them. Go get one. Hang on just a second. So I'm glad we came up here because we were able to get some much closer views of the cattle. And you'll notice that they're walking through water. That's not something that Nick usually likes to have around. They like to keep it dry for the cattle. But with all the rain that we had the last couple days, there is some water standing here. But farmers work hard to try to keep animals in nice dry places and that's relatively clean and comfortable. Again, oh, here we go. Here's some calves. Do you see them?
That's what they're saying about the mud. That fell down. Another thing for the bell ranch here.
Can you see them?
Yeah.
Here's some more coming. They have quite a few little ones. Thank you, Nick. That was great to be able to see the baby calves. All right. Well, I think it's about time for you guys to finish your class. So I will, Nick and I will tell you goodbye. Thank you guys so much for coming. And maybe Nick will connect with you later to learn about pigs. Bye, guys.